Good morning, everybody. Put your locations in the comments as you enter. Make sure we're live on every platform we need to be live on. Locations in the comments, folks, as y'all are coming in. Good. Locations in the comments, folks. Put your locations in the comments. Let's get to it. Y'all know what the topic is. Y'all know what we're going to talk about. As y'all are coming in, locations in the comments, everybody. Locations in the comments. We are live on Rumble, live on YouTube. Let me check to see if we are live on X. We are live on X. We are live on LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn, X, Rumble, and YouTube is the same. It is at Dre All Day on all of those platforms. We are live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. I'll get there in a second. We're live on Facebook.com/Work on Your Game University. We are live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. Locations in the comments, folks. Rim Universe, what's going on, my dude? King Works, good morning. Tuscaloosa, we got Portland, Oregon in the house. As y'all are coming in, put your locations in the comments, folks, and we will get started in a minute. By the way, if you have not texted me yet to get into my texting community, it is free to join. I send out a daily motivation every morning. I send it out usually at 8 a.m. So if you're already getting my daily motivation, you just got it about 8 minutes ago. If you're not getting the daily motivation, and you are depriving yourself of this, easy fix. All you got to do is send me a text to the number that is 305-384-6894, 305-384-6894. You'll be getting my daily motivation every day, weekly motivation every week. I'm going to pin that over on Rumble, YouTube, X, LinkedIn. Locations in the comments, folks. Make sure you text me if you haven't texted me yet for the daily motivation. I'll put the number in the comments on a couple of these apps so all of you can see it. Again, that's 305-384-6894. Y'all know what the topic is. We're going to talk about what Candace Owens says happened at their meeting, because Erica Kirk's probably not going to say much. But Candace Owens did detail what happened at the meeting. How many of you watched or listened to the latest episode of Candace's show? Put yes or no in the comments if you did listen to her episode, which came out yesterday, where she talked about what they talked about in their meeting on the 15th. Today's the 17th year. So she talked about it yesterday, the 16th, and today's the 17th. If you watched it, put yes. If you didn't watch it, put no. So a few of you did listen to it and watch it, and many of you did not. All right. Well, I listened to it this morning, and I'm going to tell you what happened. And we're going to talk about what happened based on what she said happened, and the fallout. And her and Tim Pool are going at it hard right now on X. Tim Pool and Candace Owens having a nice little back and forth. And Candace is sniping at him. He's talking shit to her, and they need to have their own conversation. I think we need to have a Tim Pool, Candace Owens need to have a private meeting. I think that's what's going to happen next, but I jest. So let me shout out a few people in the comments here, and then we will get started. We good over there. We are good over here. Over on TikTok. And TikTok, my name is Work on Your Game, if I didn't say that. Those of you who are watching on TikTok. Quail Ridge, good morning. Ron Johnson, Lima, Ohio. Ray, good morning from Absecon, New Jersey. Scott Young from North Carolina. Carol Ann Collins, Newburgh, New York. Annie AFF from Kentucky. Party Mama said, I don't always agree with you, but I like how you articulate your thoughts. Fair enough. I'll take that as a compliment. If you don't always agree with me, but you like the way I lay it out, I'll take that as a positive thing. Thank you. Marky Man checking in from Sacramento. And Party Mama, you might agree with me today, so wait till I get to the content. Lori Iggy Lover, Oklahoma. 140.6 Walnut Creek, California. Joe Bauer said Sodak. Is that a place? Where is that? Or is that South Dakota? Is that what y'all call it? Sodak? I didn't know y'all had short names for South Dakota. I've actually been to South Dakota, believe it or not. Bourbon for President, Louisiana. Good morning. Laughing Puppy from Seattle. Good morning. Suzanne Freeman Burge checking in from Daytona Beach, Florida. Shout out to Daytona Beach. Linda Gale, good morning from St. Louis. Carla, Indiana, good morning. Bravo, girl. Hopefully, Erica and Candace, I need an update. Yes, that is the topic. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but we didn't have all the information. Today, we're going to go off at least half of the conversation's information, which is Candace Owens, because obviously she has a show to keep doing. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit in the house. Toot Arrington, thanks for the follow. Sylvia B said, yes, you did listen. Quail Ridge, you listened. A few of you listened. A bunch of you didn't. Sarah said you did listen. A bunch of you said, okay. Suzanne listened. And several of you said no. Grace Bristol checking in from Elfland, North Carolina. Haven't heard of that town, but shout out to Elfland. Bravo Girl said no, just a few clips. All right, be careful. All right, be careful if you're only getting the clips and you don't get the full context, because whoever posts the clip, they have a vested interest in making you see it one way as opposed to a different way. So nothing wrong looking at the clips, so just be careful. Trizzy says she dropped it too late for you. Well, that's why you listen in the morning. I don't listen the day it comes out. I listen the next day most of the time. Your homegirl, Cynthia, thanks for the follow. Annie said, no, you're waiting for me. So I'm giving you all the rundown on what happened. All right. So I'm going to honor that responsibility. That's what we're going to do here. Sylvia B checking in from Houston. Shout out to Houston. Gigi B said, I've never watched it before other than little clips, but I watched that whole thing. LOL. Why that one? She's had some more explosive episodes besides that one. You might want to watch others. Derek Diggler said, I think these people need to just get on with life and take steps to plan for this collapse. What collapse? What is this collapse you're talking about? Murphy the Mutt said, great job with Jason W. Yeah, shout out to Jason W. I was on his show. That's Jason Whitlock, that is. I was on his show, I think Monday I was on his show. Andrea Nisi from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Good morning. Prod, good morning from Greenville, North Carolina. ECU, shout out to ECU. Leah, good morning. Checking in from Tifton, Georgia. Barbie 0007, good morning. GGB said, I will now. Miss Vicky T said, enjoy listening to someone intelligent versus someone who thinks they know everything. Well, Miss Vicky T, thank you. I think I'm actually a little bit of both. Courtney checking in from Nashville. Good morning. So Miss Vicky T, I do believe I'm intelligent. Thank you for the compliment. And at the same time, I do know everything. Obviously, I'm joking, but I might not be. So let's get into this topic here today. Y'all know what we're talking about. We're talking about Candace Owens. Her latest episode, which came out yesterday, is the one where she talked about her recent in-person meeting with Erica Kirk. I'm not quite sure where this meeting happened. If you listen to the episode, she didn't quite say. Did any of you hear her mention the location? Because that's one of the things I was listening for when she first started talking, is where exactly was this meeting? She didn't actually say where they met. So she didn't say that she flew to Arizona, and she didn't say that Erica flew to Nashville. Was it in Nashville? Okay. Because it seemed like the way Candace was framing it, because she said her cousin was at the meeting, Candace's cousin came with her, and then Erica was there, and then Erica had somebody else there with them. And Erica's the one on the book tour. So I figure Erica probably just flew into wherever Candace was at. So Erica came to Candace. So first of all, let's knock out one piece of nonsense that came from all the Candace detractors. They said, oh, well, Candace said she couldn't come to Phoenix on that day because her husband and this and that and the third, and she would need permission. Well, she didn't go to Phoenix. Sounds like the meeting was in Nashville. So if she said it was in Nashville, okay, that's what I didn't hear it, but I was just listening to the context clues. It sounded like the meeting was at her place. So they had the meeting in Nashville. So Candace did not go to Phoenix because she couldn't on December 15th. And they had this meeting, and Candace goes into what happened in the conversation. She didn't tell every single detail, but she talked about enough to tell us a few things. First of all, off the bat, for any of you wondering, is this going to be the shutdown of Candace Owens' podcast and her search for the truth on what happened to Charlie Kirk? The answer is no. It is not the end. Candace Owens is going to keep going. She's going to keep putting stuff out there. And she offered a mea culpa on maybe like one thing. There was one thing that she said maybe I went a little bit too far on that. Does anybody know what it is? Anybody hear that? Anybody want to guess what it was? The one thing Candace said, I went a little bit too far on that. And that one I'll say, okay, I'll take a mulligan on that. Give me a mulligan on that one. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Anybody know what it was? If you listen to the show, you probably heard it. Maybe you don't remember. But if you didn't listen, any of you want to guess, what did Candace say that she, in the meeting, that she admitted after the meeting in her show, she said, maybe I shouldn't have said that part. Yeah, Taylor got it right. So those of you who listen, you know what she said. It was only one thing. It was only one thing she said in the whole episode of the whole meeting that she said, I said to them, Erica and whoever she had with her, that, or maybe I shouldn't have said that one. It was when she said that, she said, Turning Point USA is a godforsaken company and you should not give them money. She did say that at some point, probably when she was ranting. Either she said it on her show or she said it on X. I don't know where exactly she said it. But whenever she said that, it got brought up. So I guess Erica kind of heard that one. That made her ears perk up. And she kind of pushed back on that. And I think I know why Erica pushed back on that, because Turning Point USA, everything that they do is based on taking in money. So if Candace Owens is out there like, don't give these people money, that's kind of hurting. And Candace has a lot of momentum. So Erica pointed that one out, I'm assuming, and Candace said, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that one. All right, fair enough. That was the one thing that she said. And Candace said that she can get kind of angry. She was angry at that time, and that's when she said what she said. But nothing else that Candace has said over the last 90 days did she take back in this meeting, at least according to Candace. Now, there's a different story that would have to come from Erica Kirk. I doubt we ever get that story. So according to Candace, she didn't take back anything else that she's been saying up to this point. So 4.5-hour meeting. She framed it as the meeting as significant because it followed months of this escalating public conflict over her skepticism of the official narrative surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination that happened September 10th. Now, I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again here today. The fact that Erica Kirk came to Candace, first of all, she didn't go to Phoenix. Candace didn't go to Phoenix. Erica Kirk came to Candace to have the meeting. The fact that Erica had the meeting, the fact that everyone who is asking Erica questions these days is mostly about the things that Candace Owens has brought up. All of these things legitimize what Candace Owens is saying, whether you agree with Candace Owens or not. You may not like a person, but we can't deny that what they've said has been legitimized by the response that it has produced. The response that Candace Owens' investigation, asking questions, conspiracy theorism, whatever you want to call it, it has produced the CEO of Turning Point coming to her to have a meeting, the CEO of Turning Point getting asked about her every interview and appearance that she does, the CEO of Turning Point sitting down with her for 4.5 hours to try to get her to call off the dogs because those dogs are going to hurt Turning Point in the long run, which I've said over and over again. This legitimizes what Candace has been doing for the last 90 days. Again, you don't have to like what she's doing. You don't have to agree with what she's doing, but we cannot say it is not legitimate based on everything we've heard so far. Now, she says she got to ask all her questions, and Turning Point folks were willing to have a conversation about those questions. And she said at the beginning of the meeting, whatever guy was there with Erica, I don't remember the guy's name. Candace said his name, but whoever he was there with Erica. And the first thing he said at the beginning was, hey, what's the outcome we're trying to achieve here at this meeting? Or what are we trying to get out of this meeting? And that's a good question to start any meeting with. And if nobody knows the answer, there should not be a meeting taking place. Those of you who run businesses or bosses, there shouldn't be any meetings. People don't know what the hell is being talked about. So she made it clear that one thing Candace said is that the meeting did not resolve her core doubts. Again, Candace said this meeting did not resolve her core doubts about the official story and everything that's happened leading up to the death of Charlie Kirk and the things that have happened in the aftermath, which means one thing: her show shall continue. Candace Owens is not done. Candace Owens is not going to stop doing her investigative thing. Candace Owens is going to keep saying the things that she's saying and talking about what she's talking about. I would guess that she might stop bashing TPUSA as strongly as she was bashing them. And Erica Kirk, as a CEO, probably wants to deliver the message like, hey, can you please ease off and take your foot off our necks? Have your foot on the neck of the investigation, but you can have your foot on the neck of the FBI. Okay, don't have your foot on our necks because we make money doing this, and our whole business runs on donations. And if you start bashing us too much, or you keep bashing us, you're kind of hurting the money. All right, I need you to chill out, bitch. You're hurting the money. So I told y'all yesterday that's what this is going to be. It's going to be a hey bitch meeting between the two females, and they both got to say what they want to say. And again, this is just my theory. She didn't say that. Erica Kirk said that. Now, Candace Owens repeatedly states she remains unconvinced by the presented evidence, continues to believe that Tyler Robinson either did not act alone or was not the lone shooter, and she still suspects internal and external forces may have played a role in what happened to Charlie Kirk. Now, the episode is positioned as an update and a reaffirmation that her investigation will continue despite the pressure, the backlash, attempts at de-escalation, and the bashing coming from the paid influencers on social media, who Candace also referenced that a couple times in her introduction and throughout the episode. So let me introduce myself first, and then we'll get into everything we need to get into to happen from this conversation. For those who don't know me, and those of you who do, let me remind you, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, done a few TED Talks. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our focus here is helping you develop and emit a signal that we call power presence that is so strong that people identify you, notice you, are ready to follow you, ready to listen to you, and follow your lead and respect your authority even before you say a single word, and they remember you long after you are gone, even if you never engage with them. We call this the power of presence. This is where 85% of communication comes from. If you want to ascend in your leadership, if you want to be a better leader, if you want to become a leader, if you want to make more sales, you want to make more money, you want to charge higher prices, you want more people to listen to you, follow you, and remember you, what you need to work on is the 85% of communication that is not words. And when you master that, that's when your words will start mattering a lot more. So those of you who are really smart, really good with your words, you're really good at memorizing your scripts, yet you're still not getting the ROI from your skill set. The problem is not that you need to work harder, get smarter, or do more of your stuff. The problem is you need to fix the part of communication that you're usually unconscious of. That is the 85% of communication that's nonverbal. Send me a text. My number is 305-384-6894 with the word power or the word mastermind. Actually, give me the word mastermind and text me 305-384-6894 if you want to learn more about that. And I won't say anything else because TikTok gets mad when you send people off TikTok. So let's keep you on TikTok and let's keep going. I know some of you are watching on other platforms. Anyway, Candace presented this meeting as a private multi-hour sit down. First of all, did any of you hear Megyn Kelly give some revelations about this meeting? Megyn Kelly was involved. Well, she was about to be involved. Here's what happened. This is what Megyn Kelly. Did y'all hear what Megyn Kelly had to say about this? She put this out on her show yesterday. Did any of you hear that? Yes or no? What Megyn Kelly had to say? Because Megyn Kelly is in the mix when it comes to this situation. Any of you hear that? All right, so I got one yes. LDG said yes, and a bunch of you said no. So Megyn Kelly's the show that when it comes to current events, like what's going on in the everyday news stuff, she's my source. I'll listen to Megyn Kelly. Every day I'll listen to Megyn Kelly. I'll listen to Candace's stuff usually the day after she puts her stuff out. And Jason Whitlock I usually listen to because he talks about the sports stuff. I didn't listen to his yesterday, but I'll catch up. Sometimes I got to catch up on his. Sometimes I got to catch up on Megyn. So Megyn Kelly yesterday on her show, before she got to the news of the day, which she does every day, she talked a little bit about this Erica Kirk, Candace Owens thing. Number one, a lot of people have been bashing Megyn because Megyn has stayed neutral in the situation. And first of all, what happened is, let me back up. Megyn Kelly was doing the Megyn Kelly Live tour where she did like 10 cities across the country. Charlie Kirk was supposed to be one of the appearances at her tour when she was in Phoenix. She was in Arizona, Megyn Kelly on her tour. One of the stops was in Phoenix, and Charlie Kirk was to be a speaker on her tour. Obviously, Charlie Kirk gets killed. She still does her tour. Erica Kirk speaks. Erica Kirk shows up to speak at that stop. And Megyn Kelly didn't really get into the Candace Owens stuff that much there at that stop. But earlier in the tour, Megyn was in, I believe this was in Tampa, Florida, or Jacksonville, one of those cities in Florida. It's either Tampa or Jacksonville. Ben Shapiro shows up as a speaker. Now, he was scheduled. He was scheduled to be a speaker. Ben Shapiro gets up on stage during Megyn Kelly's tour, and he asserts that Candace Owens said something that Candace Owens didn't say. And he asserts that he says she absolutely said it. He says it with complete authority that she absolutely said that. Megyn Kelly said, "I'm shocked by this, Ben, because I didn't know that she said that." Ben Shapiro reaffirms, yes, she absolutely said that. Then the next stop on the tour, I believe, was in Atlanta. Megyn Kelly says, well, Ben Shapiro said something a couple days ago on my stage, and I went and looked into what Ben Shapiro said. Candace said she didn't actually say it, and Ben Shapiro was kind of looking silly. I knew he was sounding silly as soon as he said it, because he asserted, I think he said that, was it, any of you remember this? If you heard it, it was Ben Shapiro saying that Candace Owens was saying that Erica Kirk got Charlie off, or that Turning Point USA got Charlie his life taken from him. It was something like that Ben was saying. It was absolutely not true. I knew it wasn't true as soon as I heard it. And Megyn Kelly didn't know that it wasn't true. She was like, I never heard that. Let me go look into it. She looked into it. Then the next time she was on tour, she said, no, that's some bullshit. Yes, that's it. He said that Candace Owens accused Erica Kirk of getting Charlie Kirk taken out, which she did not do. And Ben Shapiro Ben Shapiro's a whole different conversation. So Megyn Kelly has stayed neutral in this situation. So after that, because you know Ben Shapiro is a Jewish person, after that, a lot of people who are supporters of Ben Shapiro who don't like Candace Owens because they used to work together at the Daily Wire before Candace got fired, they started bashing Megyn because she would not, quote unquote, condemn Candace Owens. As a side note, any men out there who are saying that another person, man, woman, child, needs to be, quote unquote, condemned because they're saying something that you don't like, please put your balls back on. I'm just not a fan of this whole concept of condemning somebody based on something that they said or did or what they allegedly support or what they're about. I don't like this concept, and I don't like when men do this. And I see way too many men doing this these days. When Barry Weiss of the Free Press did her interview of Erica Kirk the other day that came out, there was a couple of the questioners in the town hall. It was a town hall. They came up and asked questions, and two questions back to back were both by men asking, do you condemn XYZ for saying or believing or supporting ABC? What is this? Where is this coming from? When did this become a thing that men want to ask other people to condemn things as if that is some type of achievement or accomplishment or that makes it go away? If you just condemn something, it's going to disappear like the ghost under your bed. What is that? This is a reflection of the feminization of men in today's society. And unfortunately, I hear this often from men who are representatives of a certain religion that I'm not even going to say what it is, but you know what I'm talking about because the person who I just mentioned. I see this happening way too often. And this is not really a diss of that religion, but I've seen several men of that group. Ben Shapiro is one. Josh Hammer is another. I never even heard that guy talk, but I heard a video of him the other day. He sounds similar to Ben Shapiro, which is not a compliment. And there was a guy at that town hall with Barry Weiss who did the exact same thing. What is this? Where'd this come from? And do you condemn President Trump because he said negative things about Rob Reiner after he got stabbed to death? Do you condemn anybody who is anti-Semitic? Do you condemn these people? Okay, let's say I condemn them. Then what? What happens? Do they stop doing what they're doing? Do they stop talking because I condemned them? Doesn't mean anything. It goes right back to Charlottesville 2017. Do you condemn the neo-Nazis? Yeah. And then people took that out of context, and good people on both sides. I remember that one. That was what the first hoax. Anyway, that's the second hoax. Actually, Russia was the first hoax. The neo-Nazis was the second hoax. Well, let me not go too far down the wrong rabbit holes. Let's stick to the topic. Megyn Kelly is what I brought up. Megyn Kelly here's what was going to happen, according to Candace. This was going to be a live conversation. I wish it had been a live conversation. It would have been a lot better than even what we're talking about now. Had it been a live conversation, we would have heard both sides talking. We would have heard Erica Kirk finally get pulled out of the shadows and actually talking. Let's see, is this woman built for leadership? Because we don't really know right now. All she's doing is these softball interviews that are designed to make her look good. I want to hear her in a space that's not designed to make her look good and see how she handles herself. I know what Candace would do. I don't know what Erica Kirk would have done. It was supposed to be a live conversation between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens being moderated by Megyn Kelly. I would have loved to see this conversation because Megyn Kelly is fair and objective. She tends to lean to the right. Fine. But guess what? Candace Owens and Erica Kirk are both on the right. So this would have been perfect. She was going to moderate the discussion, and it was going to be the two of them having this conversation and getting everything on the table that needed to be said. And the reason I like Megyn Kelly on this is if you ever listen to her show, she will have guests on her show who she likes, but she will still hold them accountable for their bullshit. They say something that's nonsense, she'll call it out right there on the spot, and she'll hold their feet to the fire like an actual journalist is supposed to do. She's one of the few remaining. Again, you may not be a fan if you're on the left, and Megyn leans to the right, but she is actually honest and honestly dealing with people. And she would have had an honest dealing conversation with Candace and Erica Kirk. Would have been amazing. Reason why that didn't happen, Megyn Kelly didn't say this part, but Candace Owens said it, is that it didn't happen because after it was something that got said. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something that happened recently, like in the last week, that the situation got a little bit too hot, and somebody on the TPUSA side, one of Erica's people, said, I don't think we should have this conversation out in the open right now because both women are really fired up. So how about we have this conversation in private? So that's how Megyn Kelly ended up getting bumped out of the conversation, ended up being just a private conversation. Candace shared that on her show yesterday. Now, she said the sit down strengthens her claim that she is acting in good faith and she's not avoiding any direct confrontations, which again, all the people who've been bashing Candace have said, well, she's afraid to sit down with TPUSA. She said anytime, any place, and now they named the time and the place. Now the conversation didn't happen. Well, guess what? Let's take stock of what actually happened here. They said, TPUSA said, we're going to do a live stream. Candace Owens said, anytime, any place. They said December 15th in Phoenix. She said, I can't make it. And people started ridiculing Candace and saying, well, bitch, you said anytime, any place. Now you're not showing up to the meeting. Well, guess what actually happened? TPUSA didn't do that debunking Candace live stream. They did a live stream, but they didn't do the debunking Candace live stream because their boss, Erica Kirk, said, don't do it. Then the meeting did happen, and it happened in Candace's place on a time that was agreed to between Erica and Candace. So the meeting actually did occur. All right, is it fair to say this? Give me a yes or a no, folks. Candace said, anytime, any place, Turning Point USA, let's have the meeting. Well, guess what? They had the meeting at her place and at a time that was agreed to between her and Erica, and the very people who put the whole thing out there, Turning Point USA, the men over there, they were not involved in the meeting. Interesting how that worked out. I just want to put that on the record because a lot of people had a whole lot to say when Candace said, I can't do the meeting because my husband and whatever was happening, and people are arguing about when is his birthday and all these things. Remember that? Interesting how that turned out. Where we are now. Notice none of them is saying much about that anymore. Now everybody has shifted. Everybody has just moved the conversation to a different topic so they don't have to go back over that one. Because a lot of these same people were saying, well, when Candace Owens is wrong, she's going to have to admit that she was wrong. She was wrong about this and this and this, and the Egyptian planes was this, and the bullet was this. And they're all trying to point out how Candace was wrong. Well, what about them? And this is the thing about the internet. When people put material out there, if you end up being wrong, you can just move on to the next topic and just ignore the fact that you were wrong. And this is how it goes. But when somebody's attacking you, they want to point out everything you're wrong about. Well, when you're wrong, you're the one doing the pointing out. What do you say? These people said nothing. Just want to make sure that's on the record. Now, Candace emphasized that she rejected her and it risks reinforcing these perceptions that no amount of information will ever satisfy her skepticism. There's one way of looking at it. That is one way of looking at it and saying that she's just going to keep going on and on and on until the thing gets solved. But again, folks, let's take a look at three separate situations that all of you are familiar with that are marked on the calendars of American history. Number one, JFK, 1963. Number two, 9/11, 2001. Number three, the virus, 2020. 2020 until however long you want to say that lasted. Do we know the full story of what happened to any of these three things? Give me a yes or a no. Any of you listening? Yes or no? Do we know the full story of JFK? Do we know the full story of 9/11? Do we know the full story of the virus? Now, we know the official story. That's not the same as the full story. Do we know the absolute truth on any of these? So most of you are saying no. All right, we don't have the absolute truth on any of these things. On the JFK, we don't know, and that was 60 years ago. On 9/11, we don't know. It was 25 years ago. On the virus, we don't know, and that was 5 years ago. Everybody knew about it. Everybody has something to say about it. Everyone had an opinion. All these years have passed, and we still don't know the absolute answer on any of these. So when people say, well, Candace just going and going, when is she ever going to come to a conclusion? Well, JFK was 60 years ago. We ain't got a conclusion. Do we absolutely know? Does everybody agree? It's 30 different theories as to what happened that day. 9/11. Do we absolutely agree on what happened? No. There are 100 different theories as to what happened 9/11. 2020, there are not 100 theories. There are a few, but we don't all agree. Even to this day, we don't agree as to what happened with that. And the ramifications of that we're still dealing with the jabs and RFK Jr. and all these things. So some things, not all things, but some things, we may not come to an absolute agreed upon conclusion on what exactly happened, how, why, when, where. Sometimes we might not get it. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with Charlie Kirk. We don't know. There's a court case, Tyler Robinson. He doesn't go to court. They don't start actually moving forward in this case until May of 2026, in case any of you didn't know the date. May of 2026. That's Tyler Robinson. That's when the trial stuff really starts to ramp up. That's when they have to provide, according to Candace, probable cause as to why they believe Tyler Robinson is the guy. Here's the biggest problem with the Tyler Robinson story. The biggest problem with the Tyler Robinson story, and Candace outlined this in her show yesterday, is that when she talked to Erica and said, why are you all so sure, I'm paraphrasing, why are you all, Turning Point USA, so sure that the shooter was Tyler Robinson? Why are you so sure that he absolutely did it? Even Megyn Kelly has said she is sure that Tyler Robinson is the shooter. How the hell is everybody sure when we have no video of the guy doing it? I don't understand this. When police, investigators, anyone decides that someone absolutely is guilty of something and they did it, usually the number one thing you need is eyeball witness. Number one thing you need. If you don't have an eyeball witness, then there is a reasonable doubt, a strong reasonable doubt, and it is not guaranteed you'll be able to prove that the person that you or whoever else said did it if you don't have an eyeball witness. There is no eyeball witness as far as we know. And a camera can be an eyeball witness, ladies and gentlemen. Turning Point USA does not have video footage of Tyler Robinson firing a weapon. They don't have it, according to Candace Owens. She said it in her show yesterday. They don't have video of Tyler Robinson firing a weapon. Turning Point doesn't. Now, the police may have it, but they haven't provided it. That's why I mentioned May of 26 is when they go to court. That's when they would have to provide that if they have it, because that's what they got to prove to the court. Like, here's why we're charging this guy, because we have all of these reasons to prove it. A text message is not enough of a reason. Everybody saying it is not enough of a reason. That's the bandwagon fallacy. Just because everybody believes something does not mean it's true. Again, JFK, 9/11, 2020. Everybody believing something does not make it true. And damn sure not in a court of law. There's no video. There's no eyeball witness that said, I saw that guy do it. So why the hell are so many people so sure that he was the lone shooter? Why is Erica Kirk on TV talking about, I'm very sure that guy who they said did it? Why is she saying that? I need answers. Somebody answer that question. Why is she saying this? They have no video. Isn't this whole thing no evidence? Isn't that the whole argument against Candace Owens? She has no evidence. Candace Owens is making all these assertions with no evidence. Isn't that what people keep saying? No evidence. Turning Point USA has no evidence that Tyler Robinson is, according to the way they frame it. Now, technically, they do have evidence. Evidence is that the guy turned himself in, that he had a gun, that his parents saw the weapon and they connected to their son, and their son admitted to his parents allegedly. Then he walked himself into there and they called a family friend who was a cop, and they had the text messages to his friend who's a boy turned into a girl. And all of those things are actually evidence. But what most people say when they say evidence, what they mean is prove that what you're saying is true. Evidence and proof are not the same thing. But based on the frame that people are using against Candace, they say Candace has no evidence. She's provided 90 days worth of evidence. But again, most people don't accept that as evidence because evidence is usually circumstantial material. Proof is this absolutely happened beyond a reasonable doubt. Candace is not providing proof. She's providing evidence. There is evidence that Tyler Robinson was a shooter, but according to the way people are framing it, there isn't evidence. The way they're framing it against Candace, there's no evidence for Turning Point USA. So why are people saying that Tyler Robinson absolutely was a shooter? I absolutely believe that, and without a shadow of a doubt. Why is Erica Kirk saying that? Can anybody tell me why she's saying it? I'm looking in the comments to see if anybody has an answer to this question. It's weird that when Candace asked Erica about Tyler, instead of answering, she called the lawyer. Yeah, she did call the lawyer. I'm going to get to that in a second. JT said his DNA was on the gun. So? Nobody said that he didn't have a gun. He had a gun. How do you know he was the shooter that fired the shot that hit Charlie Kirk? Not a question of did he have a gun. Question is, did his gun fire the shot that hit Charlie Kirk? And again, do you have eyeball witness? Do you have an eyeball witness that saw him do it? If you don't, then you have a reasonable doubt. That's the issue. This is the issue with the whole Tyler Robinson story is how do we know he was a shooter? Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was. Even if he gets convicted. Again, who was the guy who was convicted for shooting JFK? What was that guy's name? The guy who shot JFK? Lee Harvey Oswald, right? How many of you believe Lee Harvey Oswald was the guy who shot JFK? Give me a yes or a no. Any of you seen the video on YouTube? It's called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. Look up that video on YouTube. How many of you think Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK? Okay, so a bunch of you are saying no. Well, he got arrested for it. He got charged, and I believe he was convicted, wasn't he? Didn't he get convicted of shooting him? So Sheila said, I tend to believe what my eyes see. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Well, what if your eyes didn't see anything, but you need to come to a conclusion? How do you make a decision? That's the whole thing. If you didn't see it, there's no eyeball witness. There's nobody out there, as far as we know, who saw Tyler Robinson fire that shot and hit Charlie Kirk. So why is Megyn Kelly, why is Erica Kirk, and why are all the people at TPUSA and a bunch of people who've been bashing Candace saying they are 100% sure Tyler Robinson is the shooter? Why? Why are you sure of this? You didn't see it. This is perplexing me, and this is the reason why I'm willing to listen to what Candace Owens has to say, because I don't understand how a bunch of people who didn't see it happen are so sure something happened. That doesn't make any sense to me. And that comment that somebody said earlier is that I tend to believe in my eyes see. Me too. Which is why 5 years ago, let me be careful how I word this. 5 years ago, we were told there was an epidemic, a health epidemic happening, and all these people were dying all around us. I went outside. I didn't see that. I just saw there wasn't that many people outside, and I saw a bunch of people with masks on their face. But other than that, it looked pretty normal to me. My eyes said one thing, the news said another thing. This didn't make sense to me. I'm not saying people didn't get sick. I'm not saying there wasn't a virus. But what I was told on the news and by TV and by the WHO and by the CDC and by both presidents, Trump and Biden, was that all these people were just falling out. I didn't see that. Did y'all see that? Did you see it? Now, some of you say, well, I work in a hospital and I saw it. Okay, well, you work in a hospital. Or who goes to a hospital? Sick people. I wasn't in the hospital. I didn't see that. I just saw people living their lives as normal with a mask on their face. That's what all I saw. So if we're going off of believing our eyes, now that's what I saw. Candace Owens says, nobody saw this guy fire the shot. Why is everybody so sure he did it? I'm asking the same question. Why is Megyn Kelly saying that? Is one thing I had to ding Megyn Kelly on. She said, I'm 100% sure Tyler Robinson was a shooter. How? Based on what? You didn't see it. There's no video. All we got is some pictures of this guy allegedly walking up and down the steps. He turned himself in, allegedly, and he has the text messages, allegedly. How do we know he did it? Again, are we sure Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK? Okay, so if we're not sure Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK, why is he so sure? Why are we so sure Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk? What's the difference? Now, JFK was more prominent in the government at the time than Charlie Kirk is and was, but still, similar situation. Little old mom said they had plenty of evidence. So evidence is not proof. Two different things. Evidence is things that point towards something being true. Proof is beyond a reasonable doubt that it's true. Evidence is not proof. Candace Owens gave you 90 days of evidence, but people don't want to hear that. Oh, but the government has evidence. Candace Owens has presented more evidence that the official story is wrong than the government has presented evidence that the official story is right. True or not? Give me a yes or no, and give me a true or false on what I just said. Candace Owens has presented more evidence that the official story is false than the official story has presented that their story is true. Candace Owens has done a better job of presenting evidence than the government has. Now, note that the government does not have to tell you all the evidence they have. They don't have to tell you until they go to court and they are compelled by a judge to do so. So to give them a little bit of grace. But if we're judging off of evidence alone, and that's what this whole thing comes down to, who has the evidence? Candace Owens has presented more evidence than the official story has presented. So why are people not believing Candace Owens? Because she has presented a mountain of evidence compared to the molehill that the government has presented. All we have is a bunch of people who don't like Candace Owens saying, well, she hasn't presented any evidence. What? Listen to her show. She's presenting evidence. You may not like the evidence. You may not like the direction she's taken with the evidence, but she's presented plenty of it. And her thing is, she's just saying the official story is not true. She's not saying I have the answer. She's saying the official story is not true. All she's doing is opening up the hole in the official story and saying this official story isn't true. So what everybody has decided to accept, this neat story that fell down into a nice little pile, like that plane that crashed in Pennsylvania or the plane that crashed near the, which one was it? Was the plane that crashed near the Pentagon or the one that crashed in Pennsylvania just fell into a neat little pile and they covered it up with blue tarp and then it disappeared the next day and nobody ever got to see anything? Was that the one at the Pentagon or the one in Pennsylvania? Somebody fill me in, those of you who remember. Which plane was that? Because we know it was 2 planes in New York, then it was the one in PA, and then it was the one at the Pentagon. What was the one that fell down in a neat little pile? They covered it up with blue tarp, and then it just disappeared, and we never saw anything. Was that the Pennsylvania plane? Okay. Yeah, the Pennsylvania plane. Those of you who remember 9/11 know what I'm talking about. All right, so we're just supposed to believe the official story just because it's the official story. Here's the reason why people like to believe the official story and not challenge the official story, because if you challenge the official story, now you have to actually think. And see what Candace Owens represents. People don't really have a problem with Candace Owens. A few people actually do have a problem with her. Just a handful. People who actually know her, have worked with her. Maybe they have a problem with her. Maybe Ben Shapiro actually doesn't like Candace Owens. Maybe. I don't even think he has a problem with her. I think he has a problem with the fact that she challenged the country that he represents. I don't think he actually doesn't like her personally. Most of you don't dislike Candace Owens on a personal level. Most of you don't even know her. I don't know Candace Owens. What Candace Owens represents is we're not going to accept the neat little official story that we got from the people in authority. Again, think about what this sounds like, folks. JFK, 9/11, the virus. We're not going to accept, this is what Candace Owens represents. We're not going to accept the neat little story that came from the people in charge. We're going to challenge it. We don't know what the official story, we don't know what the actual story is yet. So all we're going to do is reopen this and we're going to put on our thinking caps and try to figure out what actually happened, because what they tell us happened is probably not the truth. So we're going to just work with the ambiguity and the anxiety of knowing that we don't know what actually happened, because what they told us is probably not the truth. And see, people who are willing to deal with that, the discomfort of uncertainty, they're willing to listen to what Candace has to say. And the people who don't want to deal with the discomfort of uncertainty, they want to shut Candace up and they want to demonize her. They want to demonize anybody who listens to her. That's the next thing they pivoted to. If you even listen to Candace Owens, you're demonic. If you even listen to her, you're stupid. If you even listen to her, you don't know how to think. That's what they're saying now, the paid influencers on social media, on X specifically, because they don't want you to challenge what the authorities have said. Now, the question is, why Don't they want you to challenge what the authorities have said? We don't know. Again, why do people not want you? Why do people want you to not challenge that Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK? Well, we don't know. Why do people want you to not challenge the official story of what happened 9/11? Who did it? How they did it? Why did Building 7 just fall? Building 7 didn't get hit by anything. Why did it just collapse? Was it just emotional stress from watching the other two buildings fall? It just decided, you know what, I want to fall too, and just fell that day. Let me stop before I get banned on TikTok again. Why this plane that crashed in PA, we never got to see it? Why is this? Again, was Building 7 just dealing with emotional stress on 9/11? Is that why it fell? It fell in solidarity. Yeah, it fell in solidarity with the other towers. For those of you who don't know the story, go look it up. Get on YouTube. Go down the rabbit hole. Candace Owens is doing the same thing. And at the time, Candace Owens is labeled the conspiracy theorist. Well, if you don't want to put on a mask 5 years ago, you were a conspiracy theorist. If you don't want to take the jab 5 years ago, you were the conspiracy theorist. You were the one killing grandma. Well, how'd that turn out? It's only been 5 years. How'd that turn out? Thing is, folks, the timeline gets shorter. It gets shorter and shorter between conspiracy theory and, oh, damn, they were actually right. I'm not saying Candace is right about everything. When you're investigating, a lot of your leads lead to nowhere. But I don't think she's wrong about everything either. That's why we need to listen to what she has to say, because ain't nobody else asking anything. Obviously, Turning Point USA ain't asking any questions. And what somebody mentioned here in the comments, when Candace Owens asked the question about why are y'all so sure about Tyler Robinson, Erica Kirk didn't answer the question. She called her lawyer, and the lawyer answered the question. Things that make you go, why she called a lawyer? Why are you calling a lawyer? And the lawyer basically confirms, yeah, Tyler Robinson is a shooter, XYZ. Candace explains this on her show. Listen to her, let her. She explains it more articulately than I'm going to right now, but I'm going to do a pretty good job. And Candace said something that's very important, very poignant point. She said, if you have a lawyer who tells you that this is 100% absolute, open and shut, done, you have a bad lawyer. You need to fire your lawyer. Get a new lawyer. Candace said this on the show. If you have a lawyer who's telling you that your situation is 100% open and shut case, you're absolutely going to win it the way that you have it, the way that we have it framed up, you have a bad lawyer who is conning you, and you need to fire your lawyer. Get a new lawyer. That's 100% true. Why is this? Because if your case is absolutely 100%, then you only have to go to court. Honestly, most of the time, you only got to go to court. It's done. The reason you hire a lawyer is because you might lose. That's the reason you got the lawyer. Because if your case is 100% open and shut, you don't even need a lawyer. You argue yourself. What you paying a lawyer for? Why are you giving them a percentage of the situation if it's a civil case? A lawyer always tells you, yes, this looks like you have this person dead to rights. It looks like you got a pretty solid case here, but I want you to understand something. Their lawyer could argue this. They could say this. The judge could look at it this way. The jury may see it this way. You might still lose in this situation. So understand that. If you go to a criminal defense attorney will say, listen, if you don't have priors and it was just a misdemeanor, XYZ, yeah, they may try to overcharge you with, try to send you to jail and give you probation and all this stuff. But for the most part, this case might get dropped. Maybe you get a little bit of community service. Maybe we'll fight it and you'll win. But understand, you might lose. Okay, if we go to trial, you might get that trial tax and you might have to do 30 days in jail. You might get 2 years of probation. This might happen. A lawyer will always tell you what might go wrong on the opposite side. If a lawyer is saying that this is absolutely open and shut, you can't possibly lose, they're conning you. Or they're just a very bad lawyer. Candace Owens says that when she asked Erica Kirk the question, why do y'all trust the Tyler Robinson story? The lawyer got on the phone. Erica called the lawyer gets on the phone and basically reiterates Tyler Robinson is absolutely the shooter and without a doubt. How? Attorney, how? Nobody saw him do it. So how is everybody so sure that he's the shooter? Again, he might be the shooter, but how are we so sure? This is a question that somebody has to answer. I need anyone who has been bashing Candace to answer this question. How are we so sure? Nobody can answer that question because there is no answer to the question. So she says she asked every single question to Erica Kirk. And as I said, the fact that Erica even sat down and met with her gives Candace a ton of credibility here, whether you like her or not. Now, repeating claims about the foreign government's internal TPUSA betrayal and deep state involvement without any new public evidence. Some say she's going to continue to get accused of conspiracy mongering. Yes, she will continue to be accused of it. Because again, Candace Owens is just saying, let's open up this conversation because we're not sure this is the official story. She's not saying I have a better story. She's saying the official story is not the true story. So people need to put Candace's work in proper context, which a lot of people are not doing. And a lot of people who are smart enough to understand the proper context, they're pretending to not understand it because they're being incentivized to bash Candace Owens. So a lot of your favorite influencers you see out there bashing her, they're smart enough to understand what I'm explaining here. I think at least half of them are smart enough to understand this, but they don't want to explain this to you, because if they explain this to you, then they would kind of be on Candace's side, quote unquote, and that influencer check that they get, and they wouldn't be getting it because they're getting paid to bash Candace Owens. So any of you think these people are just organically bashing Candace all at the same time on the same day, saying the same things? If you believe that, I have some beachfront property in Idaho to sell to you. All right, that's not the case. This is coordinated. I told y'all that 2 weeks ago. Candace is saying that's not the true story. Let's talk about it. The other side is saying this is the true story. Let's not talk about it. Which one do you believe? It really comes down to that. It's really that simple. They're saying this is the official story. Don't ask us anything. Just accept the story and shut up. Get the jab, wear the mask, stand 6 feet apart, stay in your house, and shut up. That's what they're telling you. She's saying, I'm not quite sure that's the story. But what they call those people 5 years ago, conspiracy theorists, you're killing grandma, you're doing a public disservice, you're the reason that bodies are going to drop all winter. That's what they said, right? Do we remember this? All of you are older than 5 years old. Do you remember this? Am I hallucinating? Give me a yes or a no in the comments. Am I hallucinating this? Do you remember this happening? Give me a no if I got this wrong. Give me a yes if I got it right. Did that happen? I'm just checking. Even those of you who don't like Candace Owens, I'm just checking. Did that happen 5 years ago? Accept the official story. Get the jab, you won't get the virus. Get the booster, you won't get the virus. Wear a mask, you can't transmit the virus. Stand 6 feet apart, you won't get the virus. Wear the mask while you're sitting down at the restaurant because the virus is down here. But if you stand up and go to the bathroom, you can take the mask off because the virus doesn't float this high in the air. It only goes about 3 feet above the ground. Remember, am I hallucinating? Did this happen? I'm just asking. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a yes or a no. I'm just asking questions. Did that happen? Now, all of a sudden, we got to accept the official story. Why? Just because somebody said it? With no evidence? Well, they got evidence. They don't have proof. Excuse me. No proof. They have evidence, no proof. So it's Candace's evidence versus the official story's evidence. Why do we just accept the official story blindly? That's the part that I'm trying to understand. JFK happened. 9/11 happened. The virus happened. All right, we got fooled 1, 2, 3 times. We gonna let it happen again? I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions, folks. Candace is just asking questions. And again, I said this on the Whitlock show more than once. Truth is self-evident, ladies and gentlemen. If you're telling the truth, you'll take any and all questions. Ask me as many questions as you want. If I'm telling the truth, every question you ask, the truth is still gonna be the truth. No matter which angle you come from, no matter how you ask the question, no matter if you rephrase the question and ask me a different way, 10 minutes later, the truth will still be the truth because truth is self-evident. You don't have to remember the truth. It just is. Any of you know anything about police interrogations? When police do interrogations, here's what they do. They'll ask you a question about the timeline of events, and then you'll answer the question. And then they'll ask you other questions, and then they'll circle back to something that they asked you about the timeline of events, and they'll ask the same question, but they'll ask it in a different way. They're asking it from a different angle. They'll say, what were you doing at 10 o'clock? You say, well, I was at the grocery store. Then they'll go along and ask more questions. Then they'll come back and they'll say, you were at the grocery store at what time? And then they're just checking. They're going to keep asking it. When you're at the grocery store, what'd you buy? Oh, well, you didn't go to the grocery store that day, right? And they'll keep asking different ways to get at the same question just to see if you change your story. And that's how they know if you're telling a lie, or telling the truth. And see, if you're telling the truth, no matter how many different ways you ask me about the same thing, the answer is always going to be the same. Because truth is self-evident. Truth doesn't have to be remembered, and truth doesn't have to be defended by an attorney. So Candace Owens asking questions shouldn't bother anybody. Because if you're telling the truth, it doesn't matter what you ask me. The answer is still going to be the same. That's the issue with the official story, and this is the reason why people like Candace need to be listened to by those of you who are critical thinkers. Doesn't mean you agree with Candace. Doesn't mean that she has the right story. But again, truth is self-evident. Doesn't matter what she has. The truth is still the truth. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? So Candace had some people. I saw this guy. He had put a video on YouTube yesterday. It's about a 10-minute video, I think. Might have been longer than that. Where he's saying he did a deep dive on the Egyptian plane thing that people tried to make it sound like Candace was going crazy. We started talking about the Egyptian planes. And he said, I went and looked at the logs of the planes and I signed up for this website where you get the you can track airplanes. And he said he was debunking Candace. And then Candace said she noticed that people were talking about that and she's going to put something out on her website. So there's a whole argument about that, the plane tracking and all that stuff. I didn't get into that stuff, but Candace did acknowledge it. She said she's going to put something out that debunks the debunk about the whole Egyptian planes thing and what it means, what it doesn't mean, etc. Now, despite describing this meeting as productive, Candace is making clear that none of her core conclusions have changed. And even though she did say it was a productive meeting, I think, as I said at the beginning, I'll state this again. I think it was just Candace got asked to just take your foot off our necks at Turning Point USA, even though Candace reiterated in the conversation or in the podcast about the conversation that Turning Point USA lied about some things. She pointed it out. She noted specifically what the lies were. Where she got her sources were people inside of Turning Point USA. Because when Charlie first passed away, the first few weeks, people at Turning Point USA were responding back to Candace. They were talking to her. She's had text messages with Andrew Colvin, who's the press guy for Turning Point USA. There's a conversation to be had about some of the things he's been saying lately too, but we haven't gotten to that because it hasn't bumped its way to the top of the stack. But Candace is going to continue, which is good for us because she has temporarily replaced Donald Trump as the gift that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving is someone who everything they do, everybody has an opinion, so then I can use it for content. So Donald Trump was number one in that spot. Right now, he is temporarily 1B, and Candace is 1A in terms of the gift that keeps on giving. So Candace, please keep giving gifts. It's almost Christmas. Next. Now, Megyn Kelly facilitating the meeting. I talked to you all about that early. The third-party mediation would have made this even better had we been able to hear this in real time. And for the sake of Erica Kirk, I'm glad this didn't happen in real time. I think Candace is much better at the back and forth thing. Megyn Kelly's good at it too, but she would have been the moderator. And Erica, I don't think she would have looked good had they done that. So it's better that this happened in private for Erica. For Candace, it really doesn't matter because if it happened in person or live rather, then she would have basically curb stomped Erica in terms of the back and forth debate stuff, or whoever Erica had with her, she would have curb stomped him. But since it didn't happen that way, and Erica's not one with a podcast, Candace gets to go on and on and on and talk about what happened, what didn't happen. Erica's not going to say nearly as much as Candace has, so she still controls the narrative. So Turning Point USA, only thing they achieved by doing this is getting Candace to take her foot off of their necks in terms of them getting their money. And maybe she'll stop bashing their staff, and their staff will stop talking about her, which is actually good for Turning Point. But Candace wins either way. And here's what I'll say about that. Harken to the point that I just made a minute ago. When you're in search of truth and you're dealing with truth, it's impossible for you to lose. I'm not saying that what Candace is saying is 100% the truth, but I believe Candace is in search of and trying to get to the truth more than Turning Point is at this point. As of today, I believe Candace is trying more to get to the truth than Turning Point is trying to get to the truth. I will say that. And again, it doesn't mean either one of them is right. I'm just judging intent. I think she's trying more than they are, which is why no matter how things go in these back and forths and all these things that get said, no matter how things go, she still wins. Turning Point has ways of losing. And if you're dealing with the truth, you can't possibly lose. I'm gonna just leave that at that. Now, Candace continued suspicion of the TPUSA staff. As I said, they just asked her to take her foot off their necks, which I think she's going to do. And she'll just continue with all the other things she said. She said a whole bunch of things that had nothing to do with people at Turning Point. So she still has plenty of material to keep using. Now, she's not releasing any recordings. I don't know if they recorded this conversation. There's an off-record nature of the meeting. I mean, we pretty much understand that. And Candace has said on the show, more is coming. So that's a guarantee she's not going to stop. And if I was her, I wouldn't stop either. What, just because Erica Kirk said, hey, Tyler Robinson did it. Okay, bitch, did you see it? No? Okay, then I'm going to keep going. That's pretty much all the conversation had to be. They could have did that on Twitter or X. But anyway, this open-ended investigative framing, this benefits content engagement, but some people get frustrated because they're seeking resolution. So let me emphasize to all of you again. Candace Owens didn't say she knows who did it. So any of you saying, well, Candace Owens keeps giving us these cliffhangers that tomorrow I'm going to do this, and then next time I'm going to talk about that, and next time I'm going to talk about that. This is how investigation goes. Candace Owens did not say she has a solution or the outcome or the actual answer as to what happened. She said, we're trying to find out what happened. So please judge her work in context, understanding what she's trying to do. She's not saying I have all the answers. She's saying I'm trying to get to them. So I'm going to keep looking. And also, Candace has some really smart people in her audience. They're providing her tips You get 1 million people listening to your stuff, you're going to find there's going to be a few smart people in that audience. They're listening and they're providing her tips and they're fact checking her on certain things and correcting her on time zones and all these things they've been doing if you listen to her show. So this is part of the investigative work. And this is what investigators do in the background that y'all don't see on YouTube. Candace Owens is just doing it on TV, quote unquote. Let's just call all this stuff TV now. This is the new television. So she's framing this as motivation. This motivation as loyalty to Charlie Kirk. And a lot of people believe that. A lot of people think she's trying to destroy what Charlie Kirk built. And they're saying, well, she's mad because Erica became Charlie's wife instead of Candace becoming Charlie's wife. I don't buy into that. I think it sounds good. It's a good appeal to emotion. It's a good sour grapes argument. It's a good, again, something that sounds like it was made for the 8th grade lunchroom. Oh, you're just mad because he picked the girl that wasn't you. And Candace has a husband and he has a wife. So, I mean, okay, if you believe that, fine. But what does it have to do with anything that's being said here? There's no way to disprove it. You can provide evidence that they were friends. It looked like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens were more platonic friends. If you look at the videos and the clips of them doing stuff together, they look more platonic. They didn't look like relationship status type things. But hey, there are other different types of relationships out there that you or I may not know about or may not be privy to. But the whole argument that, oh, she's just mad and she's just trying to bash Erica because XYZ. Well, Erica and Charlie were at Candace's wedding to the guy she's married to. What's the guy's name? George. They were at the wedding. So I don't know. And then they say, well, she was just trying to destroy it because she got fired from Turning Point USA. Well, we know why she got fired because she started bashing Israel and Charlie Kirk was getting a whole lot of money from them. All right. We know this is true. Candace Owens has said that in her 90-day saga that there's a lot of money coming from that country. They were trying to give them more money. And Andrew Colvett confirmed this. And Candace Owens was starting to bash them after 10-7. And Charlie Kirk was still dealing with them after 10-7. And that was the conflict. In case any of you don't understand. After 10-7, Candace Owens decided she wasn't messing with, or after the fallout from 10-7, let me be clear, because 10-7 was Israel being attacked. But the fallout after that was they started hitting back, their counterpunch, which a lot of people said over the next year, they said the counterpunch was way, way, way heavier than the original punch. The original slap was way heavier. And a lot of people started bashing the government of that country for their response, for their retort. Candace Owens was one of them. And there's a lot of organizations in the United States of America that take money from that country, specifically from the government. So when you see your paid influencers or your influencers bashing anyone who's been attacking that country or their government specifically, and then they go and extend it to, oh, well, you're talking bad about the people and the religion when they're actually not. This is the Ben Shapiro approach. You got to understand why. 3-word phrase you should always pay attention to anytime you see somebody doing something in business that doesn't quite make sense logically. Follow the money. All the people bashing Candace Owens, follow the money. Who's paying them the money and who's paying them? People who are paying them to bash Candace are connected to Turning Point. Turning Point is getting paid by certain organizations in certain countries and whose people follow a certain religion. Right? I ain't got to spell it out for you. You know what I'm talking about. And Candace has been real clear in the last year that she doesn't mess with them anymore, and she has openly attacked them. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA receive a lot of money from them. That's the reason why Charlie and Candace couldn't really talk that much in his last year or two being around, because Candace decided, I'm planting my flag at bashing them. Charlie said, I'm still getting money with them. Okay, we can still be cool, but from a distance. That's what happened. So any of you trying to figure out why was there a distance between the two of them is because of that. Candace said, I'm standing on this. Candace was at the Daily Wire. Well, guess who's the biggest name at the Daily Wire? Ben Shapiro. What's Ben Shapiro have on his head every day? Okay, so it's pretty clear why Ben Shapiro doesn't like Candace Owens. All right, everybody got it? Why Josh Hammer doesn't like Candace Owens? Why he's bashing Megyn Kelly? Because he's similar to Ben Shapiro. They might as well be cousins or brothers. Follow the money, ladies and gentlemen. That's why people are bashing Candace Owens. And why people are trying to attack her, saying she's building her brand and building her business, et cetera, et cetera. Barry White said this. She's building her brand and building her business, making hundreds of thousands of dollars per episode. Really, Barry? Hundreds of thousands of dollars per episode on YouTube? I don't think so. Hundreds of thousands of dollars per episode, according to Barry Weiss. Well, guess who Barry Weiss gets her money from? Anybody want to guess? Where's Barry Weiss and the Free Press getting their money? They just got bought by CBS. She started her own company called the Free Press. They got bought by CBS for $150 million. Barry Weiss ain't that good, in my opinion. Personal opinion. She ain't that good. She's not that good of a journalist. I heard her at her town hall. There was nothing interesting. She didn't say not one interesting word in that entire town hall. And that's her company, and she created that whole platform. This woman got $150 million. Sports is the only industry that's merit-based, folks. I come from the sports world where you got to actually be good to win a trophy. In the business world, you got to look twice at everything. It's just how it is. It's unfortunate. Actually, it's not unfortunate. It's just reality. You got to look twice at everything. Barry Weiss ain't that good of a journalist. Any ever heard her? She's not that good of a journalist, if you even want to call her a journalist. Her company got bought for $150 million from CVS. Look into Barry Weiss's background. Guess who she's connected to? You only got to look into it. Who's she connected to? Anybody know the answer? Put the name of the country or the flag or the government. Y'all know who I'm talking about. She's heavily connected. That's why she is incentivized to bash Candace Owens. There's others who are getting money from over there who are incentivized to bash Candace Owens. That's what it is. It's a country over in the Middle East that starts with the letter I, in case any of you didn't catch it. Yes, thank you, Tez NY. Yes, there you go. Phoenix the Goddess, you got it. That's what she's connected to. So she's saying Candace Owens is getting all this money from doing this show. She's trying to make it seem like Candace is just enriching herself, doing what she's doing. Whereas Barry Weiss sold her company for $150 million to CBS. Like, who's paying that much money for journalism in 2025? Who else is making that kind of money as a journalist? Nobody. And there are people out there who do actual journalism who are not getting that kind of money, nowhere close to that. 10% of that, $150 million for her company. Go listen to her talk. Go listen to the town hall where she did with Erica Kirk. It's on YouTube. Tell me, is there anything in the 10, 15, 20 minutes you hear Barry Weiss speak that makes you say, wow, this woman is exceptional? Not me. I didn't hear anything. But you tell me. You go listen to it. You tell me if you heard something that I didn't hear. This is how the business world works. And when you start kicking that hornet's nest and stomping up and down on it like Candace Owens is doing, she's been stomping up and down on the hornet's nest for about a year and a half. And another person who's been stomping up and down that hornet's nest for a year and a half is a guy with a shaved head who lives in Romania who's a kickboxer. What'd they do to him? Y'all noticing? Y'all noticing the pattern here? Oh, and by the way, Charlie Kirk, when he got offed, allegedly, according to Candace Owens, she said this over and over again, he was considering, looking at, thinking about, leaning towards, I want to get out of bed with these folks. I don't like what they're doing. I want to get out of bed with them. And I don't want to feel like they own me and they can tell me what to do and what not to do. I don't like that. So I'm about to stop dealing with these folks. That was where Charlie was, according to Candace. That's where he was before he got offed. I'm not saying they did it. I'm just theorizing. I'm just putting it out there. Candace Owens has been saying that over and over again for the last 90 days. Yes, Feather 215, that guy. The shaved head guy who's a kickboxer who lives in Romania. He's been bashing that country too. He's been saying what he said about that country. Candace has been saying it. And allegedly, Charlie Kirk was leaning in that direction. Tucker Carlson has been clear that he goes in that direction. He's not messing with them because it's clear what they're doing. According to Tucker, it's clear what they're doing is not right. Tucker Carlson's been hard on that. So, again, y'all think about it. You tell me what you see. So, Candace's core audience has been reassured that Candace did not sell out. They didn't make the call and tell her to stop. She's not going to stop. So, clearly, as of the episode she puts out today, is going to be clear she's still going. So, anybody thinks she sold out or she got told to stop and she's going to stop, she's not stopping, obviously. And she's going to keep doing what she's doing, which she should, regardless of who said anything. And TPS USA's leadership is Erica Kirk. She's the leader. And TP USA has still got some problems that they need to resolve. They have a huge communication problem that they haven't solved yet. They still got a lot of fans. So it's not like they're going to fall off the mat tomorrow. They still got a lot of fans. They still got a lot of support. And they still have the emotional bounce back from Charlie Kirk passing that they're still riding the wave of. So, and they're about to have a big pep rally this week at AmFest. So they're in good shape for now. But in the long run, they have a problem still. And just let that play out. Now, this episode reinforces the idea that this feud has shifted from factual investigation to entrenched worldview conflict. I reject that. I think the factual or just trying to find the facts is only one person doing it. So it's not really a back and forth. There's only one person doing it, Candace Owens. Nobody else would be talking about this if it wasn't for her. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say, even though she is doing some damage to TPUSA, the fact that she keeps talking about this has actually helped them too, because it's taking the people who are in their camp deeper into the camp. I think that's fair to say. I think she's divided the audience. There's people who, everybody knew who TPUSA was and said, Charlie Kirk, okay, if you're a conservative, you say he's doing a good thing. And you may have been mild on it. But now that Candace has jumped in doing what she's doing, she has divided it where people are like, absolutely not. And there are people who are even more fervently fans of TPUSA because of what Candace has done. So it's actually, she's helped them in a way, and at the same time, she's hurting them in a way. Just a matter of how they leverage it. And according to Candace, there's 600 plus people who work at Turning Point USA. So they're a bigger organization than I thought. They're a pretty big outfit, that organization over there, Turning Point, that Charlie Kirk built and put together. And if you are a conservative, I think you should hope that they keep doing well and doing their thing. But they had a face of the organization who was a very strong personality. They still have yet to replace that because Erica Kirk is not that person. Erica Kirk is not the person to replace Charlie Kirk.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
They need a guy. Who's the guy? That's a question I've been asking for the last month. Nobody has an answer because they haven't shown that person yet. Whoever that is, they need to show up. Because this wave that they're riding, this wave could take them for about, I think it'll take them about 6 months. Charlie got off in September. So October, November, December, January, February, March. By about St. Patrick's Day, they got to solve this issue. So they got a couple more months. Around St. Patrick's Day, around Mardi Gras, around March Madness, they got to solve this problem. Or things are going to start going backwards. All that said, everybody, Ben Shapiro is their guy? I hope not. Ben Shapiro is not the guy. He's not that guy. Ben Shapiro?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Ben Shapiro does not have the affect to do that. On top of the fact that Ben Shapiro is way too bought in with a faction that you can't have your organization be owned by them. That's the issue. And that's what Candace has been alluding to strongly and asserting that Charlie was trying to get away from. All that said, folks, let me take a quick restroom break, and then we're going to get to the comments where we get to use some of our favorite sounds. I'll explain these sounds when I come back.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
And our favorite new sound. Give me 90 seconds, everybody. I'll be right back.
Put the phone down! This is for my safety. Put the phone down! This is for my safety. Put the phone down! This is for my safety. Put the phone down!
Nice clean face. All right, let's listen to that sound again. That's funny.
Put the phone down! This is for my safety. Put the phone down! This is for my safety. Put the phone down! This is for my safety. Put the phone down!
So any of you come in here and you keep leaving ridiculous comments, I'll play that sound for you. Or I might, if you say one thing that's ridiculous, I may play this one. This is Michael Jordan.
Stop it. Get some help.
Or I might use this guy.
It's time to stop. It's time to stop, okay? No more.
If you use an appeal to emotion logical fallacy, we give you this one.
Emotional, damn it.
If you use a non sequitur, there is no connection between the 2 points you're trying to make, then you get the one I just said.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Or another catch-all that we use is this one.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Also do that when we need more likes. We're already at 100,000, so you're doing a great job. If you say something that's really good, then I'll clap for you. If you try to use the ad hominem, that is attacking the person instead of the point, then you get this one.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
If you try to use the appeal to ridicule, you try to make a joke, but you fail, then you get this one.
Oh, I like your funny words, Magic Man.
And our classic, the one where you use the logical fallacy called the straw man, where you misrepresent a point in order to make it easier to argue against. That's called the straw man. You get a slice of
strawberry cheesecake.
All right, so everybody understands the rules? Great. Let's get to it. Let's see what we got here in the comments. I don't think I saw anything. Bruce said Diddy documentary. What about the Diddy documentary? Over on TikTok. I'm not reading every single comment. I'm starting at the oldest ones and I'm scrolling through and just picking and choosing. Moderators, if you see a good comment, just pin that comment and I will jump to that one. And otherwise, I'm just jumping around the comments, folks. I can't read every single one. They don't have super chats on TikTok. When they have super chats, then I'll read comments by super chat, but we don't have that yet. So we'll go about 15, 20 minutes here on comments, and then we will wrap this up. And again, nothing personal if I don't read your comment. Echo said, I remember I was one of the conspiracy people. Yeah, for which one? 2020 or 9/11? Pharaoh said, Candace is crazy at this point. Well, based on what? Why is she crazy? Well, Heck said, it's law enforcement's job to sort this out and provide evidence. Yes, that's right. And while we wait, citizens have a free speech right to ask questions. They have a right to do that. CVSC said they never said that. It said it would lower transmission. CVSC, you got to be damn joking. Cut it out. Put the phone down.
This is for my safety. Put the phone down. This is for my safety. Put the phone down. This is for my safety. Put the phone down.
CVSE just ridiculously said that that's the WHO and the CDC, never said that getting the jab would mean you can't get the virus. All right, so somebody please call bullshit on CVSE. Just put the word bullshit in the comments if what CVSE just said is some nonsense. They didn't say that. They said it would lower transmission. Really? Are you joking? All right, somebody put that in the comments if I'm right about what I just said. It will lower transmission. Are you joking? No, stop it.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
They all said, get the jab, you will not get the virus. They changed the story later on when it became obvious that getting the jab did not stop you from getting the virus to save face. But they absolutely said, you get the jab, you will not get the virus. Don't even try it. Nathan said, I think the virus is worse if you got the jab. Yeah, some say. Cell said, they say, get the shot, you should have a better chance of surviving. No, they said that after. So they said that after it became clear that getting the jab did not stop you from getting the virus. When it first came out, they said, get it, you will not get it. Trump said it, Biden said it, Kamala said it, WHO said it, the CDC said it, and everybody on TV said it. Carla said, CEO focused on we can't trust TPUSA. She was very light on we can't trust the government. I think it's a combination of both, Carla. I think she said a little bit of both. Because all TPUSA did was say, trust the official story. And Candace is like, well, wait a minute. He was your guy. Why are y'all not asking questions the way that I am? And that's how she ended up bashing them. And then she started calling out certain people there because certain things that she knew that they weren't saying. Brianna Hohen, thanks for the follow. Barbie said, I called BS 5 years ago. Good. You should have. Davey said, that's get to trial, see the evidence, then decide. Well, that's 5 months from now, 6 months from now. So I don't think people want to wait. People want to know immediately. And the official story that we heard just sounded kind of fishy. So people said, okay, then let's go find out what else there is. Well, one person said it, Candace Owens. So I'm fine with that. Carla says she didn't ask questions. She insinuated TPUSA was involved. Well, she did both. By asking questions, she is insinuating. So she was doing a combination of both. Carla, there's a false binary you're providing here. She did insinuate that they were involved and that they knew. She didn't say they were involved like they actually got him killed. She's insinuating that they knew something, that Charlie was saying he believes they're trying to take my life, and that people at TPUSA knew that. And she said that in her last episode. Speaker said, why would you need to keep asking? Believe the truth. Well, how do you know it's the truth? That's how you find out that something is the truth, by asking questions and examining it. Again, when you're telling the truth, no matter what angle from which you examine it, the answer always comes out the same. Nurse says she's not asking, she's making up weird crap. What makes it weird? Sheila says somebody is reporting I just got flagged for misinformation. What'd you say? What was your comment? Nico said Candace got exposed yesterday. By who and how so? I didn't see it if she did. Taylor said, I'm not sure the meeting would have been as productive if it was live. Too many emotions. Probably. Number one, it might not have been as long. Number two. Number three, though, it would have been good for all of us to see the raw emotion because it would have provided more material for somebody like me. Phoenix said, Erica made Erica look bad already. In the eyes of some, I understand it. Shelly said, Candace believes dinosaurs are conspiracy too, and Weinstein. I didn't hear anything on dinosaurs, but she interviewed Harvey Weinstein, and he gave a pretty compelling argument for why the case against him might not have been as open and shut as it appeared. Because he had accusers who he had never even met. So, I mean, what do you do? What do you do when that happens, Shelly? I'm not saying he was 100% innocent. He did cheat on his wife, but that's not what he was charged with. He had accusers who he never even met. So what do you do with that? Shelly said, Erica won by proving Candace a liar. She met with her on the day she swore she couldn't meet. Untrue, Shelly. I broke that down already. You're not that guy. Don't do that.
Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Candace said, I cannot travel to Phoenix because the men at TPUSA were saying you have to do it in person. She said, I can't travel to Phoenix. They met in Nashville. So that actually proves that she was correct, that she can't travel and that anytime, any place meant her place. Gloria said, I think she's trying to make money. So who's not trying to make money? Is there anybody listening to this who's not trying to make money? Everybody's trying to make money. If you got a job, you're trying to make money, unless you work for free. CW says, CO said she could show up virtually. EK came to CO at times she could work her in. Okay, well, she came to Nashville, and Erica Kirk's on the book tour, so it made perfect sense. Why the men at TPUSA said we're going to do it without you, even though Candace said, let me just stream in, even though they stream every episode of they literally do a live stream, and they said you can't stream, which told me they didn't really want to have a conversation. That's why I was calling bullshit on TPUSA from the beginning. Melanie said, this is what journalism used to be. This is true. Me said, all you're doing is repeating her information. Well, I'm interpreting what she said, and everybody didn't even hear what she said. Many people said at the beginning of this that they didn't listen to it, but they want to hear the breakdown. And I'm giving a breakdown. So I'm sharing what she said and then giving my interpretation of what it means. Carla said, more people should listen to you instead of Candace Owens. Well, Candace Owens is providing material that I use. So listening to her gives me material. So it's like an ecosystem. Jenna said, brilliant circle. You are popular enough to get people to work for you for free with tips. Well, people are doing it because they're interested in the story. I mean, again, if people like Candace Owens and they like what she's doing, they're interested in the story. So when she brings something up and says, hey, is there anybody in the audience who knows anything about ABC, and somebody knows something about it, they go help her out because they like the show. So they're supporting the show by going and finding the information that she's looking for. So they're helping each other. Cosmo said 328K on a live on YouTube. No one is listening to see it. Yeah, she's doing 1 million views per episode. So she's doing pretty well. KP said, talk about something else besides Candace Owens. Like what? Give me a subject. KP says she lost her black card a long time ago. Stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
What does losing her black card mean, KP? Explain to me what exactly that means so I can knock down your nonsense. Carla, thank you for the lightning bolts. Michelle, thanks for the follow. Christian said, you deserve way more followers, so well spoken. Thank you. Suzanne said, ding, ding, you said it. Learn it in life. This is exactly right. Bless your heart said, yes, thank you. Amy said, BS is a joke. Christy Lee, thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow, Christian. Joe Linda, thanks for the follow. Echo said, everyone share this live to one person at the same time. Yeah, good idea. Thank you. Marianne said, no, never heard of her until the interview. Heard of who? Barry Weiss? Yeah, she's been around for a while. In the journalism space, she has been around for a while. I heard of her several years ago. Let's see. Miriam said, AIPAC. Yes, they're very well known. They got a lot of money, too. Phoenix said, I didn't hear her ask not one unbiased question. Well, that's not her job. I mean, it's a book tour for Erica Kirk, so she's not going to get asked any tough questions on her own book tour. I understand. Over on YouTube, BVD said, what's your take on the tremendous amount of negative comments on her videos? Is it organic or bots? It's a combination of both. That's how it works. You can use bots to get a whole bunch of people to start saying things, and then people will organically start repeating it, because when you see so many people saying the same thing, you come to believe that it's true. Again, 9/11 and especially 2020. That's exactly how it happened. If you use bots to say the same thing over and over, again, regular people, actual organic people will see it, and then they'll say it, because how many times did I hear it? It must be true. Most people make their decisions based off that. Henry Haha said, I guess we'll have to see how this plays out. Something feels off. How can you tell people to stop donating and then walk it back, knowing there's been a misappropriation of funds, lies, and no transparency? Well, she does have a relationship with those people. Erica Kirk was at her wedding, so there is some level of personal relationship there. I can understand that. It's like you could say something bad about somebody you're cool with, and then they have a meeting. Then you go meet with them where they call you, and you say, all right, I'm not going to keep saying bad things about you, even though I still don't mess with you like that. Henry said, the speculation that the rifle they recovered isn't his rifle. But it should be speculation. Henry said, true, Candace has given more evidence to raise more speculation. She absolutely has. Divine Love said, it's clear that folks don't listen or understand this. Thank you for interrupting for those that don't understand what Candace said. A lot of people know what she said. They just want to pretend like they didn't, because number one, they're getting paid to do so. Number two, a lot of people don't like Candace Owens. And number three, a lot of people don't want to think. So those are the main reasons. Echo said, love the tie that you're wearing, sir. Thank you. Taylor said, leave me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Did he say that? Sheila said, nobody's listening to Candace anymore. And Sheila, yeah, keep dreaming. I guarantee you she did 1 million views on that episode yesterday. Let's see. I'm going to look up Candace Owens' YouTube channel and let's see how she did. Because who was this? Who said this? Sheila G said, nobody's listening to Candace anymore. So let's see if that's true. Candace Owens' YouTube channel has 5.69 million subscribers. And her live stream yesterday, Erica and I sat down. This got streamed 14 hours ago. Anybody want to guess the number of views? 3.2 million, 14 hours ago. So, Sheila, if nobody is 3.2 million people, we should all be so lucky as to have nobody listen to us and get 3.2 million people being nobody. Sophia the Cat said, why would Turning Point get rid of CK? Wasn't he the cash flow? Well, if we were to go down that rabbit hole, the thing is, the I country was about to give Turning Point more money to take them to the next level. Candace used that language in her last episode. And Charlie was starting to say, I don't want to mess with them anymore, so I don't want any of their money. So going from whatever they are already giving to zero versus the multiples of the already amount, if Charlie would accept it. But if Charlie was saying, I don't want to anymore, then, again, this is all theory here, folks. I'm not reporting this, that the I country could have coordinated with the people at Turning Point and said, well, let's just get Charlie out of there. We'll give you the money after that because all of y'all are on board with us. Andrew Colvett was on a interview a couple of days ago saying we will not accept anybody saying that Tyler Robinson was not the shooter. We will not accept anybody bashing Israel. He said that out of his own mouth. He's the press guy for Turning Point USA. So that they could just say, okay, now we're cool with the I country. Y'all give us all that money y'all was about to give us because Charlie's not stopping it anymore. Now we can get even bigger because we have more money. And the person who was saying don't do it, he's out of the way now. So all of those that could be how that happened. Again, I'm not reporting that. I'm theorizing. So that's why they would do it. And remember, folks, follow the money. Follow the money. Carlos said, only one person doing it in the public eye. How do you know what people are doing behind the scenes? Well, the answer is we don't. And we're talking about what's in the public eye, what we know about. Midnight said, isn't her ex-boyfriend the one before Charlie? Who's ex-boyfriend? I don't know who anybody's ex-boyfriend is, so I don't know who you're talking about. Venom said, what about the British guy? What British guy? Candace's husband is a British guy. That's who you're talking about. Jay Bird said, Erica could have been it if she stayed out of the spotlight, but nobody believes her charade anymore. Well, you become the CEO, you can't stay out of the spotlight. I mean, not at a company like that. Karina said, the university shooting is a great example of how our law enforcement works. Yeah, I heard it's kind of crazy up there that they're not telling people to stay in their homes, but they haven't found a shooter yet, and some people are having a problem with that. I understand. A few more comments here. Popular said Barry Weiss is a pawn for the I country. I've heard many people say that. Fair enough. Michigan Bear said Candace didn't need this money. I don't know if she needed it, but I think she's happy to have it. You may not need the money, but you're still happy to take it. CJ Gator said, if you were smart, that was evident, just like getting the flu shot. It just lowers the percentage. Yeah, but that's not what they said. I'm just going off I'm talking about what they said. Jazzy said, my favorite was get the jab and save your grandma. Yeah, they did. They alluded to that a whole lot. Jay Bird said, raise your hand if you weren't fooled into getting the jab. Never even considered it. I was never fooled into getting the jab. I didn't get any jabs. I don't take jabs. Lou said, Candace and Erica work for the same people. Candace's father-in-law, Lord Michael Farmer, follow the money. Okay. We'll enter that into the record. Jazzy said, Candace didn't say much last night. Well, she said enough that it provided material for me, so I'm happy for that. Thank you, Candace. Suzanne said, I'm so glad you came up on my For You page. I listen every day now, intelligent and unbiased. Well, thank you. Doc said, I think most people confuse the drive to make money and success with greed. I agree. This is true. That is what most people, they conflate the two. That if you're trying to make money and be successful, that you must be greedy or bad. And people who make money or make a lot of money or more than the average amount, they must be doing something wrong or bad or nefarious. I was talking about this, I think yesterday I was talking about this. People just demonize people with money as if it means you're doing something wrong, which is crazy. Well, Heck said, I heard a rooster. Miami has roosters. A lot of people don't know that. Wild roosters in Miami. Even in the busy parts, they're wild roosters. And Phoenix said that rooster's making a morning announcement. I wake up at about 3:30 a.m. and you hear them then. So roosters make announcements whenever they feel like it. Christopher said, Candace has plenty of followers that listen to her. She is very relevant. Yeah, well, she's more than relevant. She's providing substance. Relevant just means you're popular. She's providing substantial material. I don't follow things that are popular. I follow things that are providing substance. She had 3.2 million people in 14 hours ago. You can't say nobody's listening. Karina said, I watched after an hour. She had 1.7. So she's doubled that since then. Popular said the iCountry owns this app. I thought this app was Chinese. CJ said, talk about the people who fell for that. Oh, yeah, I understand you. I understand. So Linda said, I came across you on the FYP. Your intelligence is refreshing. Thank you. Lane Wagner said, first time listener, great conversation. Thanks for what you do. You're welcome. Thank you. Chrissy said, very weird to me that Mikey called his wife and never disclosed it. Why cover it up? Yes, exactly. So these are all things Candace was talking about on her show yesterday, that she was pointing out the lies from people in the TPUSA camp. And there was nothing Erica could kind of say back to refute it because they were just straight up lying. Foster said, do you think the real truth will ever come out about CK regardless of what it is? See, here's the thing. It's like the JFK and the 9/11, Foster 2534, that I think the real truth will come out as a matter of who decides to accept which version of the story. So I think the real truth about JFK is out there. It's just a matter of which one do you accept. Some people think it was Lee Harvey Oswald. Some people say it was one person. Some people say it was 7 different people. Somebody say it was somebody up in the building. Somebody say it wasn't somebody on a grassy knoll. So I think the real truth is out there. It's just a matter of how do you discern which one to accept as the truth. I think that's what's going to become of this story, is that the real truth will be one version of all the stories that are out there, and different people will accept different versions of the story. I try to get in bed by 7:30, but usually about 8 o'clock. Mama Bug said, can I ask, what did Candace say last night that made you happy with the meeting? Well, I'm not happy with the meeting because I wasn't there. I just like the fact that Candace came out and told us what happened, because that provided material for me to come out and talk about it today. So what I do on these live streams, Mama Bug, is just talk about current events. This is the biggest current event right now. So as long as I have source material, then I can talk about it. So I'm glad that she talked about it, what she saw in the meeting from her perspective, because that provided material for me to talk about it from my perspective. So that's all I'm doing. And I just spent the last hour and a half explaining what she said about the meeting, Mama Bug. I don't know if you just came in late. Anastasia said, the bottom line is that there are too many holes in the story. We need to keep asking questions. I agree. Marky Man said, Kauai has wild chickens. What's Kauai? Kauai. Where is that? Is that Hawaii? Chrissy said, we know that gun was not the weapon, so either it wasn't Tyler or more were involved, period. I don't think Well, the argument Candace is making is that Tyler didn't act alone. Even if he was the shooter or wasn't the shooter, he didn't act alone. There were other people involved, and he's the only one being fingered right now. And again, it's a neat story, kind of like the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania on 9/11. And we're just supposed to not ask any other questions. Deline, thank you for the lightning bolt. Echo said, that's a lot of lightning bolts. Yes, thank you for the lightning bolts, everybody who's been leaving the gifts. And thanks, Leah, for telling people to do it. Karina said, Trump is addressing the nation this evening. People's attention will shift quickly. He's addressing the nation tonight? Good. That's more material for me. So I'm glad he's addressing the nation. Now, hopefully he says something interesting enough that is material worthy. JB said, do I feel Candace is very nervous or not herself, though? No, she seemed pretty normal to me. And here's the thing. Candace Owens doesn't work for anybody anymore. And when you don't work for anybody, you don't have a reason to be nervous. Nervous about what? You don't answer to anybody. There's nothing you can say that could get you in any real trouble. I mean, other than getting sued. And yeah, you just have less things to concern yourself with when you don't answer to anyone else. Is a different type of energy. Mama said, I did just come in. Now I understand more. Thanks. Well, watch the replay, Mama Bug. The replay will be on YouTube, by the way. All these live streams, I'm streaming on YouTube at the same time that I'm talking to y'all who are on TikTok and the other apps. So the replays are always on my YouTube channel. If you just text the word live, LIVE, to my number, which is 305-384-6894, we'll send you a link to all the live stuff that you need. So you have my YouTube, all links to my books and all those kind of things, stuff you can get for free. Just text my number, 305-384-6894 with the word live, LIVE. We'll send you our live page that has all our stuff. So all the stuff you need for watching these replays. The replay is always on Rumble, is always on YouTube, always on Facebook. Facebook, they delete it after 30 days. LinkedIn, I'm not sure they keep it there. They delete it. Instagram is on there, I believe, for 30 days. And TikTok, I think, keeps them for 30 days too. But on YouTube and Rumble, you can edit the speed. Do any of you like to listen on faster speed? JB said, wonder what came out of that meeting. She seemed very all over the place and not focused. Who? Candace Owens? Seemed pretty normal to me. She's been talking the same way for the last 5 years. What was different about yesterday? I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary from what Candace did yesterday. She was talking about the meeting. She was talking about it from her perspective. Erica Kirk hasn't said anything, so we can only go off the side of the story that we got, which is what she said happened. So everybody, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern is when I start. I start at 8 a.m. Eastern. Usually the content is about an hour. So around 9 o'clock, that's when I get to the comments. That's when I'm responding to the things that you all have said. So any of you who come in later while I'm going through the comments, you missed the content. And some of you are asking questions about the content. You just missed it. Watch the replay. It's on my YouTube channel. The link to my YouTube is in my bio on TikTok, by the way. Any of you want to learn more about working with me and the stuff that I have going on outside of this? I am not an attorney, by the way. I'm not an attorney. I just play one on TikTok. Text me at my number, 305-384-6894, 305-384-6894. My full-time business is my company called Work on Your Game Incorporated, where we help people master communication from all angles for your business life, your personal life, your social life, and all areas in between. And one of the things that I like to do is this live stream talking about current events. I have a podcast. Some of y'all call this a podcast, but I have an actual, what I consider an actual podcast that comes out every day. It's called Work on Your Game. You can find it on Apple or Spotify. It's called Work on Your Game, and I'll show you the Spotify version. And that show is about 20 minutes a day, and that's evergreen content. So this is current events. What y'all are listening to right now are me talking about current events. My evergreen content show is called Work on Your Game. It looks like this. This is the Spotify version. Today's episode is episode number 3,504. 3,504. This is every single day since 2016. Episode 3504 came out today. Topic is faking versus forecasting. Yesterday was while entrepreneurs always need something to be excited about. The day before was addressing conditioned mediocrity. Before that was power is a current, not a crown. Before that was nonverbal energy leaks that give away your power. Before that was how to create energetic residue. So you see, these are evergreen topics. These are things you can use in your professional life, your work life, your leadership life, your business life, your social life, your interpersonal skills, leadership skills. That's this show. These are about, every episode is about 20 to 30 minutes. It's a solo show. There are no comments, so I just go through the content, 20, 30 minutes, and it's done. You can listen to that on your morning commute. It's on Apple and it's on Spotify. Let me show you the Apple podcast version so I can get a better look at the artwork. Looks like this. So Again, Apple, Spotify, 20, 30 minutes every day. It's called Work on Your Game. So if y'all want more material from me, my name, by the way, is Dre Baldwin. For those who don't know, my name on TikTok is Work on Your Game. My actual name is Dre, D-R-E. My last name is Baldwin. So you want more from me, just look me up on your favorite social media platform or your favorite podcasting app. That's where you can find my material. I told you I'm on Rumble, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So I'm on all the socials that you all use. I'm not on Twitch. That's the only probably real popular one that I'm not on, but I'm on everything else. And again, text me. You want to get deeper into my world. I send out emails every day. I've written a bunch of books. I do coaching, consulting, speaking, all of those things. Again, my number 305-384-6894. Hey. Yeah, I know. All right, so let's wrap this up, everybody. I appreciate everybody. Again, 305-384-6894. Thank you, Leah, for penning that comment. Difference Maker said, how much evidence is there to support CK's unaliving was staged? And I don't think it was staged. I think he is actually dead. I don't think it's staged. I think he is actually dead. Now, how it happened, who did it, who was involved, that's the question we're trying to figure out. So, everybody, we will talk more tomorrow. Maybe it'll be Candace Owens again. Maybe it'll be Donald Trump. Those are our two favorite topics. Why? Because everybody has an opinion on those two topics. That's the reason why I talk about them. Because everybody has an opinion. So the thing that gets most of your attention is the topic that I usually pick. Sometimes we go and talk about something that may be a little bit more obscure. But if one of the hot topics is boiling, then we just use that. We're going to ride this Candace Owens train until the wheels fall off. So thank you, Candace Owens. Let me give another clap to Candace Owens for providing material for us. And thank you, Donald Trump. Let's clap for him, too. He provides material. All right, so anybody who's providing material consistently, I appreciate them, because current events, you got to find what's happening like currently, as opposed to my masterclass. My podcast was evergreen. I could talk about anything any day. But on this, I talk about something that's happening right now in the news. So if nothing's happening, I have nothing to talk about. So shout out to the people who are doing things that give me something to talk about. We need them. And that's how it works. So I appreciate everybody. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Thanks, everyone. Work on your game. We are out of here. Yeah, no jab, no test. I agree.